there is no other possible way that we can start off today's show than the Concord Yellow Jackets boys basketball championship on Saturday against Detroit Douglas. And they pull it off, Concord, 60-47. They not only win their first state championship in school history for boys basketball, but that is actually, if I was able to look at this right, I went on the archives, the championship archives at MHSAA. This is the first boys basketball state championship for a team in Jackson County since 1955. J-High won it in 1955, but no Jackson County boys basketball state championships since then. I mean, it's when you think about it, it is tough to win a state championship in basketball. I mean, think about it with football. There's so many different divisions. You have 8 11-man divisions, and then you have 2 8-man divisions. So you have 10 total divisions in football. So maybe a little bit easier if you look at it that way to go on a football run. But for basketball, all of these schools, you have what, almost 700 schools, something like that in Michigan, jammed across 4 different divisions. There's a lot of good talent in the state of Michigan. So that's tough. It is so difficult to go on a basketball run. But I don't know, this season for Concord, early on, they had a couple of really convincing wins against some larger schools, and it's like, wow, this team might be able to do this thing. I think they have a chance to really go on a pretty special run this season, and it did culminate with that state championship on Saturday, which, fun game. Started strong, 14-7 in the first quarter. We also have some highlights for you. Here's a early bucket by Connor Stevens, putting Concord up early.
So far, Concord's done a great job keeping Douglas off the offensive glass, and so it's one shot and done. Make it or miss it, but it's done after one. Stevens screens and pops, triple, got it! Connor Stevens with the 3, Concord back in front, 7-5, 4:28 to go first quarter.
So that got Concord going. A little bit of a run to end the first. We'll had 14-7 at the end of one. But the second quarter, Detroit Douglas, they started to come right back. Torian Wright, here's an and one that really started to shift the tides back for Douglas.
Good catch and rhythm shot release for Gill Jr., 17-9 Yellow Jackets. They missed picking up a transition and a drive and a bucket there for Wright Jr., and that's going to be a foul on Concord. Missed picking up their guy in transition, and he took it all the way to the glass.
Yeah, Gill Jr. drains that 3 and kind of did a little celebrating, and there goes his guy.
So Detroit Douglas outscoring Concord at 19-8 in that second quarter, and held a 4-point lead at halftime over the Concord Yellow Jackets, 26-22, and it's like, oh man, this is going to be a battle. I mean, both these teams, having phenomenal seasons to this point, making it into this championship, and then we go into the third quarter. Concord, they start chipping away right back at it. Here's a big bucket from Dean Jr. getting the game tied up.
Yeah, Oliver coming way down to get Garrett in the backcourt. He'll give it up to Stevens. Hands off to Dean Jr. out at the top. Dean Jr. out the drive. Gets in, elevates off the window and scores it. Good look for Dean Jr. 31-31 tie.
And then on top of that, Jet Smith had a nice three-pointer that gave Concord the lead right there at the end, briefly, before the end of the third quarter.
Jet Smith, who catches the handoff, steps back. Dean Jr. in there. They walked away from Jet Smith at the three-point line, and he nails a triple. They just kind of left him when he picked up his dribble. 39-36 Yellow Jackets.
So both teams would go into the fourth quarter tied. Tie ball game One more quarter left. State championship. I mean, this is everything that you can ask for a state championship game. And Concord completely flipped the script in that fourth quarter. Here's a big bucket from Connor Stevens. Concord's starting to build a little bit of a lead.
If Poe knocks away, gives Stevens a dribble back. Gets a step on him to the baseline in the air. Off the window, Connor Stevens with the bucket. 47-43 Concord. Stevens took some time there, but he got the right thing done at the end.
And little did they know at that time, but that would actually be the mark that Detroit Douglas would hit for the rest of the game. 47 points. So the next bucket for Concord ended up being the game winner, as Concord able to make some adjustments, switch to a 3-2 zone in that fourth quarter. Smothering defense, and ended up holding on for the 60-47 final score.
Concord state champions, first time in school history. The purple and gold on their feet here at the Breslin Center with a state championship now, a trophy to take home for Connor Stevens, Jet Smith, and the whole squad.
So just unbelievable moment for this school, for that town, for that matter. Just unbelievable. And I saw the pictures. I was not there for the championship, but seeing the pictures, I mean, you could, the whole town of Concord and then some was there to cheer on the Yellow Jackets and able to get the job done. And we mentioned the furthest postseason run in 40 plus years for this Concord team. They never even played in a state championship game before Saturday, and able to get the job done. And that fourth quarter, just spectacular stuff, especially coming off of how crazy the semis were against the defending back-to-back state champions, Tri-Unity Christian, a game that it looked like they had all but wrapped up with a few minutes to go before the Tri-Unity Christian had a late, crazy rally, including a buzzer-beater 3 to end regulation to force overtime before Concord recovered in overtime. But a couple keys in this one, 3-point shooting. Concord, they made one more three, 7 of 17 shooting from 3. They made one more 3 than Detroit Douglas, but they needed 5 fewer shots. So they shot a much higher percentage from 3. And the rebounding, 37 to 26 edge on the glass. How about this? Connor Stevens with MHSAA's stats right here. 15 points, 19 rebounds, a monster double-double right there for Connor Stevens. Able to get the job done for the Concords, 2 blocks and an assist in there as well. We also got Daryl Dean Jr., 15 points, 3 rebounds. Jet Smith, 14 points, 4 rebounds, also had 4 assists in there, a steal. Some of these standout players for the Concord Yellow Jackets in their state championship game. So phenomenal stuff. Congratulations to the Concord Yellow Jackets bringing that home. Again, first state championship since 1955, if I have that year correct. That was the last time that Jackson County had a team win the state championship. That was J-High back in 1955. And Concord able to break that run, 25-4. They finish on the season with their losses coming to a very tough Brother Rice school at Albion College. Also had lost to Fowler and 2 losses to Springport. Very good Springport team, by the way. And I think that's going to be a really good Springport team next year as well. Going to be very senior heavy next year, and made a pretty good run into the regional championship this year. But regardless, Concord Yellow Jackets get the job done. First state championship for boys basketball in team history. What a special moment that Saturday was a day that is going to be talked about for many years with that school and with that town. So the boys basketball season comes to an end with Concord winning that state championship, and the girls basketball season enters its final week, and we are down to 2. Concord being one of those schools, really hoping for a lot of success for them, because how cool would it be to have both your boys and girls basketball teams bring home a state championship in the same season? That would be pretty darn cool. So for the state quarterfinals, we got that coming up tomorrow, and then the semis will be on Thursday. Championship will be on Saturday. So looking at Concord, for the Concord girls, they've got Portland St. Patrick tomorrow. This game was originally supposed to be at Vicksburg, but they moved it to Mason for the quarterfinal. That's going to be at 5:30 tomorrow over on WKHM, Jackson's News Talk, 970 AM, 101.5 FM with Steve Boyle and Brian Haynes on the call. Winner will play at MSU on Thursday, 7:30 p.m., taking on the winner of Frankfurt and Onikama. I actually had to look up that pronunciation, Onikama. I was not able to get that right last week with the boys tournament. So Frankfurt and Onikama, winner of that one will take on the winner of Portland St. Patrick and Concord on Thursday at 7:30. They're at the Breslin Center. Meanwhile, Lumen Christi Titans having a spectacular postseason run. Lots of dominating performances. They move on to the state quarterfinal for the second year in a row. And they will be taking on Plymouth Christian Academy over at Ypsilanti Lincoln. This one was originally scheduled to be at Northville High School tomorrow, but they moved it to Ypsilanti Lincoln. So Lumen Christi and Plymouth Christian Academy, that one will be at 7. And even though different start times, we will still have this one on our separate sister station, 95.9, the Power Cow, as opposed to putting them both on 970. Don't want to risk a potential overlap in case the Concord game goes a little bit long. So Lumen Christi and Plymouth Christian Academy at 7 tomorrow. And the winner of that game will take on the winner of Hart and Niles Brandywine at the Breslin Center on Thursday. 2 o'clock start, so an early afternoon game for Lumen potentially if they're able to get the job done tomorrow. So again, for tomorrow's girls quarterfinals, Concord versus Portland St. Patrick at 5:30 at Mason over on WKHM, Jackson's News Talk, 970 AM, 101.5 FM, WKHM.com. And then for Lumen Christi and Plymouth Christian Academy girls, quarterfinals tomorrow at Ypsilanti Lincoln. Tip-off of tomorrow's game will be at 7 over on 95.9 The Power Cow and 959thepowercow.com. Entering the final week of high school basketball, winding it right down, and especially off of that state championship for Concord on Saturday. Hopefully these two girls teams, they kind of feed off of that energy, and we have some more state championships hoisted at the end of this week. How terrific would that be?
If you missed today's installment of On the Docket, podcast it at fox1019.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to tune in live weekdays at noon on Jackson's Fox Sports 101.9 FM.